Hello, and welcome to Morning Mindset. My name is Michelle Dale, coming to you from Virtual CoWorking Space. And this is where we help virtual assistants to level up in their business, lifestyle, and mindset. This week we are doing a series on questions that I have meditated on and received responses. And today we have, it's not a question, it's more like questions and statements. So the first one was a question. It was, why is everything taking so long? The second one was, I tried and I can't. The third one today is also a statement of, I feel so alone. So let's unpack this one. This was an interesting one for me because this is like so abstract in so many ways, and obviously going on here and making these videos, I expose myself. I feel quite vulnerable sometimes, but I know everything is going to be okay. But with this one, it took me back to a lot of my life, really. Before I got to this point, I did feel alone. I often felt like a lot of burdens, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of feeling like, where are the answers? What do I do? How do I resolve this? Hi, Karen, welcome. And that feeling of being alone is very interesting, because when we say we feel so alone, we can recognize that aloneness and isolation and the aloneness is in fact a feeling. And feelings are not solid. We can literally be in a room full of people or have people around us all day, every day, and still feel alone. So I want that concept to just sit with you for a second as we continue this discussion of what I meditated on and what came out of this statement. So the first thing is, the I feel so alone is very much linked to you not being connected to yourself. Now, it's really interesting because a lot of people over the years have said to me, like, how do you move around so much? How do you not miss the UK? How do you not get attached to things? Or, for me, it's very simple. I've always felt that I can make my home wherever I am. And as I was meditating, it was a reminder of how how I said that, like, wherever I am, I can make it home. And I think that is probably me realizing from very early and very young that home is you. And again, we're going to go into this. We all have this higher version of ourselves, okay? Many people refer to this higher version of ourselves as God, the universe, whatever. It is a higher self version of you. And the fact is, when you are connected to that higher self, you just simply don't feel alone anymore. And that is how my experience has been. So if you are someone that feels alone, if you are someone that is, regardless of whether you have people around you or you don't have people around you, being alone is a feeling. Okay, physically you can be present in the physical presence of other people, but the topic today is, I feel alone. When you feel, and that feeling alone comes from feeling that you are on your own, and you never are. There is always a part of you that is with you, that is there for you constantly. And I think once you can grasp that concept and embrace it and, understand and know that higher self is there, has always been there, and will always be there. And you never have to feel alone once you can come home to that space. Now, the interesting thing is, for me, myself, I didn't really understand this concept. All I knew is that in really, really bad times, you know, when I was in my darkest days, I would talk to God. Okay? So, and I think a lot of people have that experience. Oh God, please help me. I don't know what to do. Right? And I think it's often a natural, not that I was religious or anything, but it was a sort of natural go-to. It felt like a very organic, natural, God, what do I do? God, help me. God, please tell me what to do. God, guide me, you know. And I've come to the realization now that I wasn't asking God, you know, as in an etherical being or the man in the sky, you know, that with the big white beard or whatever. It sounds also like Santa, doesn't it? But I was asking myself, and I have come to this realization through meditation that it has always been myself. It has always been a part of myself that I have been asking for guidance and asking for help. And whenever I'm open and receptive to that part of myself, always that part of myself is there with the answer, with the wisdom, with the response. And the reason, if you are somebody who is feeling alone, the reason you are feeling alone is because you are not acknowledging and connecting to that higher version of yourself that is always there for you. But it will only show up if you decide, I want to have a relationship with this part of myself. And when you do, you will realize you can go through and connect to this higher self a lot through meditation. I know some people find it difficult to meditate, but it's only difficult if you continue to tell yourself it's difficult. If you decide meditation is what you decide it is, what you make it, then it becomes a lot easier. So I began just simply laying down or sitting down and closing my eyes. I was somebody also who said the same thing. I can't meditate. My mind was always racing with a million ideas. And if I shut my eyes for a second just to calm myself or still myself, all this stuff would just start coming up immediately. The things I had to do, the places I had to be, what I've missed, what have I forgotten? I need to do that tomorrow. I should write that down. You know, my mind was filled with it. And then I would say to myself, well, it's impossible for me to meditate, which is absolute rubbish. So I basically decided it's not. I can meditate. I can do this. And I will do it at my own pace. And I will do it the way I have decided what meditation is. So I would basically then decide I'm going to close my eyes. And then I'm going to start to draw my attention onto something. So rather than just try and empty my mind, which felt impossible, I would create something in my mind. So I would start to build a location of a place where I go every single time I meditate. I go to the same location. It's funny because over the years it has changed a lot, but the location hasn't changed. What the location kind of looks like has changed. So I go to that location and there is always it's actually a chaise longue there where I sit and I ask my higher self to come and join me. And my higher self comes to join me on this chaise longue and we have literal conversations. I ask questions. I ask for guidance. I ask for answers. And it isn't immediate. You have to start working at this, and you also have to sometimes get over yourself about, is this me just creating this in my head? Because actually, yes, it is you. It's you and your higher self. But you have to understand that that higher self is not the right side of your brain, and you are very much grounded most of the time in the left side of your brain in your physical experience. So you have to understand that it's such a natural process that we all have the ability to do. And if you are somebody who's feeling alone or lacking guidance or lacking the answers or lacking not knowing what to do, not being decisive, you know, that type of thing, then you start working on this. meditate now at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. It's something I want to do. It's something I love to do, because all the guidance that I take about my business, about my kids, about my life, about my decisions, about where I'm going to live, about who I'm going to be around, it all comes from that place. It sounds really weird, but I have quite a successful life, so I don't think it is that weird if suddenly the success in my life I attribute to these moments of time where I connect with that version of myself. I used to have a really difficult life. I was constantly fighting with life many years ago. And throughout this process and throughout this change that I made to make a decision that I am never alone, I always have something to turn to that's there 24/7, immediate, that I can tap into at any time. You suddenly don't feel like everything is a burden anymore. You suddenly don't feel like I have to figure this all out. You suddenly feel like something that knows better than me in my very limited logical mind. There's something that knows better than me, another part of me that I can have a conversation with and ask questions for. And sometimes the answers come immediately. For me now, they tend to come more immediately than before, but sometimes they are presented to ourselves as we go about our day and as we go about our lives. But if you're feeling alone and you're not connected to your home, to your higher self, which is your home, that place that I go to in my mind where I meditate, it's my home. And that's why I've always felt at home pretty much no matter where I am. I've certainly felt much more at home in Egypt, which is why I came back after a decade, or more than a decade. But I've always felt pretty at home wherever I've been. I've never felt like anything is lacking. I've never felt like anything is missing, because I've always been home within myself, and I've always had this home and this connection to my higher self. So once I started doing this practice, so I would highly recommend that you do this. If you are somebody that does ever feel alone for whatever reason, I honestly would say that it's probably because you are disconnected from your higher self, and that higher self wants to make that connection with you. That higher self wants to serve you, basically. That's all I can, the best way I can describe it is that higher self is there to serve you and take care of you while you're living in this 3D experience. I almost get emotional when I talk about this stuff, because so many of us don't get it, and we don't realize that it's there. And we have such difficult lives. Some of us have such difficult lives because we have almost no connection to our higher self in a way that we can understand what this connection can truly do for ourselves. So all I can say to you is try it. Just don't label it meditation. Don't label it as anything that you have to do. Don't label it as anything that is difficult or hard, or anything that is specific. Oh, meditation is this, because it's not. It's going to be very unique to you. And I've just explained to you how I do it. Like I say, I create this location. When I close my eyes, I go back to that location. I meet my higher self there at the location, and I have a conversation with my higher self. And that's how all of this stuff that I do basically comes out. All the courses, all my programs, all the things that I've done in my business. I even use it like to guide me on how to work with my clients, to guide me to my clients, to guide my clients towards me. I mean, I think it's pretty clear at this stage, like how I use this throughout my entire life and my business. And if things are not going your way, if you are not seeing clearly and knowing that everything is going to work out perfectly for you, then this is what I suggest, to connect to your higher self, to understand and know, and first of all be aware that your higher self is there, always with you, always there for you 24/7, and wants to serve you, and wants to talk to you, and wants to guide you. So you have to be open to that, and as soon as you are, then you can start to work on the relationship with your higher self, and it will be gradual potentially, or you may just dive in. You may go there and you may find in your meditation that no one's coming for you, but just persist. That's all I can suggest to you. So I hope this was helpful. And we will be back here again tomorrow for another final meditation message. I don't know what it's going to be yet. We'll see. But if there's anything you would like me to meditate on for you, I'd be happy to. In the meantime, we're going to do our daily accountability. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching the replay, I do truly appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Before we begin, don't forget you can join me live online inside Virtual CoWorking Space at www.virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. If you enjoy this session, give it a like. I'd love to hear from you, so write me a comment. And so you don't miss any updates, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. So now we're going to look for the positive with our gratitude. First, we'll spend 1 minute thinking of the day before. Thinking of all the things that happened, reflecting on work, interactions, relationships, memorable moments, and more. Now you'll write one thing down minimum that you're grateful for. You can, of course, write down more. Something good, something that went right, a small moment or a big win. The more you search for things to be grateful for, the more you will experience things to be grateful for. Now we're going to read out your goal. Make sure your goal is written down in a journal or somewhere you can easily access it. Read your goal now, ideally out loud, and commit to this goal. Believe it will happen. And by reading this daily, the universe knows clearly what your goal is, and the things begin to shift in the direction of your goal. Follow your instincts when this happens by taking action. Now you need to see your goal in visualization. Spend this minute thinking about the goal in your mind. See yourself taking steps towards the goal, or even better still, see yourself having already achieved the goal. Close your eyes and go there. Step into the feeling, step into the place, step into the accomplishment. And finally, it's time for your most important task. Set this task for today and make it relating to your goal. This could be something small like sending an email, recording a video, or making a phone call, or it could be bigger. Either way, one task a day is one step forward, and those steps will add up.
Do what you can from where you are now. Set the intention, and the action will carry you towards your goal. Well done you for completing your daily co-create session. Have a fantastic day ahead, and I'll see you next time.